The article I'm going to read you today cannot be found in the archived versions of the War Illustrated. I've gone through the table of contents as well as flipped through several editions manually surrounding the time period that this article was published and printed for. On the other hand, I did find some of the articles for the prior videos that I've made, and will be posting the relevant links to them probably by the time this is published. Since I cannot provide the archived version of this article, I'm going to put up a crappy photograph with my crappy phone. Another nice thing is that the formatting of my edition is much nicer. Frankly, I can imagine the editors of these two editions coming to blows if they ever met, but that's just my imagination. From the War Illustrated, Volume 2. The War Illustrated, 21st August, 1915. Onward be our watchword. This being the first number of our third volume, and a full year having elapsed since our first issue, it has seemed to me a good opportunity to invite a well-known war correspondent, whose writings have been of the most heartening kind, to sound us a clarion note for the new year of the war. Mr. A.G.Hales first won fame in the South African War, and in the earlier stages of the European War, he saw fighting on the French frontier and in Belgium, contributing various articles to our pages descriptive of his experiences. He is not one who has shouted victory when there is no victory, or sought to foster false confidence, being fully aware of the terrible dangers through which our country has recently been passing, dangers not yet dispelled, but from which there is now reason to believe we shall eventually emerge victorious. His note is one of confidence in the final issue, come when it may, and facing a new year of the struggle, it is well that the confident note should ring, but never to imperil our application to the titanic task that lies before our empire. Signed, the editor. Mr. A.G.Hales. A year ago, the peace of the world was shattered, and the blood-red streamers of war blazoned the skies. For a quarter of a century, men had prophesied that the Balkans would cradle a struggle that would loose the saber in the scabbard of every capital in Europe. Yet when the shock, so long expected and so widely heralded, came, only one nation was ready for the Holocaust. The prophets were right. Not only in Europe has the sword leapt from its sheath, blades have been bared in the uttermost parts of the earth. East and west, the earth is shaking to the tread of armed men, marching and countermarching, training and fighting. Almost every ocean is plowed by warlike keels bent on destruction. The air between earth and heaven is vibrant with the whir of death-dealing craft that hover like vultures over cities and armies. The world below the surface of the water is filled with hidden menace, and murder unmasks itself in the laboratories of science. Has all the world gone mad? Or is the great architect refining mankind by fire? We have just passed through a year of misery and anguish. The whole of creation is wet with tears. There is pain and sorrow everywhere. The hands of the clock seem to have been put back 1,000 years. But this may only be seeming. The real progress of mankind may date from the hour the first hostile foot tread on Belgian soil. A great good may spring out of this tremendous evil. Mankind had been groaning under military and naval taxation for generations. This bloody holocaust may convince men of all nations, all colors, all creeds, that the cult of force is an undiluted curse. William of the Red Hand may prove to be the last of the barbarians. When his hordes are swept away, the earth will be purer, and mankind, grown sane by sorrow and experience, may see with a clearer vision and model life upon a new basis. From the womb of war, lasting peace and ages of happiness may spring, and if this be so, all the blood that has been spilt will not have been shed in vain. The glory of Britain's soldiers abroad. A year ago, we stood right upon the brink of disaster. Had Germany struck at us then instead of France, had the Kaiser rushed at London instead of at Paris, we might have known all the misery and woe that has fallen to the lot of northern France. Our women might have been shamed, our children bayoneted, our villages sacked. We have much to thank the gods for. Our regular soldiers, so few in numbers, so great in heart, took the field, fought and fell with a heroism that has made them immortal. On their heroic shoulders rested the safety of empire for a time, and they did not fail us. At Mons, they reeled from defeat to disaster, rallied again, and avenged themselves at the Marne. Later came our new citizen army, and the long-drawn struggle in the trenches and fronts of Calais, where all the best traditions of our race were nobly upheld by officers and men, most of whom a year ago had no more knowledge of soldiercraft than a little volunteer training could give them. Yet no veteran troops could do more than these tyros have achieved. The blood of the breed has spoken in tones that challenge history for a better or nobler record. They may have been great. Officers and men in actual warfare have risen to the alpine heights of efficiency. Again, we have much to thank the gods for. Russia, France, Italy, and Serbia all have fought and are fighting well against the three great military powers engaged against the Allies. We talk too much of Germany and forget the military records of Austria and Turkey. Yet to a very great extent therein lie the bitterly anxious moments we have experienced during the last 6 months. Gallant little Serbia shattered herself upon Austria. Turkey has held, and is still holding, a superb British and French army at bay on the route to Constantinople. If Turkey had been on our side, as she might easily have been if we had outbidden the Germans, when Turkey was practically in the market, Germany would have been beaten to her knees after the retreat from the Marne. Russia would have poured troops through the Dardanelles to take the field in France. We should have rained ammunition into Russia by the same route, and Hindenburg would never have won an acre of soil in Poland. We have seen Russia hurled backwards like a storm these latter days, though the Muscovites are sure to come again and retake what they have lost and add interest to the debt. We have seen France held up along a 500-mile front of her own soil. Administrative shortcomings at home. We have only kept our footing in front of Calais by superhuman efforts, and on the Gallipoli Peninsula we have marched from trench to trench in blood. The days have been poignant with anxiety. No man knew what an hour might bring forth. Waste was rampant at home, and inefficiency stalked the land. General Muddle was the only general we seemed sure of meeting in our great business centers, where, prior to the war, we considered we were the strongest. The public purse was exploited in the name of patriotism. General Greed, with a staff whose name was Legion, preyed upon the populace, making a harvest out of coal, shipping freights, and even out of bread. Our battle fleets have done all that was possible for them to do, whilst longshoremen, who did not know a bumboat from a battleship, flouted the experience and opposed the advice of the greatest sailor of modern times, causing him to be relegated to a department for inventions. For 6 months we stumbled on the edge of disaster, but the darkest hours have passed. We have achieved marvels in spite of inefficiency, muddle, and chaos. And now we are moving on to bigger and better things. Our task is a stern one. We have to drive a still powerful foe over the Rhine and keep our grip on him until peace is signed in Berlin, until the criminal Kaiser and his equally criminal staff are prisoners in our hands. We have to level Krupps to the ground, dismantle or sink the German fleet, destroy every fort in Germany, free Belgium, and give peace to mankind. Nothing less will do. Anything less will spell another war within 10 years. We must clean up this job, and we can and we will do it. Our army is growing every hour. Our navy becoming more perfect, our wealth more assured, our soldiers more calmly confident, our officers more skillful. Let the dead past bury its dead. There must be no holding back for us. Victory sure and certain lies ahead. Let onward be our watchword. Kaiserism will bite the dust. There is not a hairbreadth of room for pessimism. The tide of war may ebb and flow for a time. Battles may be lost and won. William of Germany may shake his mailed fist and cry in the height of his melodramatic fury, "Woe to them who draw the sword against me." But his gaping mouth will be filled with the cold gray ashes of defeat in the end. The ground is even now rocking under his feet. He may not fall for a while, but his final overthrow and the complete humiliation of his people is as certain as the rising and setting of the sun. When the Cossacks ride roughshod over the barest fields of Germany, as they will when Russia has rallied and resumed the offensive. When the sons of France sweep with fixed bayonets from one German city to another, as they will do before another year's grain has been garnered. When our own stern-faced lads crumple his legions up and sweep them in front of our khaki hosts like leaves before a gale, which may well happen ere the year grows grey. When our warships ride at anchor in every port and bay where today the German flag flies, when his battleships are down and his pirate craft are blown to the Gehenna, then William the Werewolf will know and understand the enormity of his crime he committed when he set the world on fire. He was born mad, and the gods have made him blind, and in his blind wrath he is marching and leading his people over the edge of a precipice. The war is already gnawing at Germany's vitals. We have not felt it in a vulnerable part so far. Germany's foreign trade has gone, never to return. Ours has not been impaired. Germany's credit is sinking every hour. Ours is rising the earth over. The twilight of the war gods. Germany has lost every colony of worth she once possessed. We have lost nothing and gained much. The enemy cannot and dare not let a single merchant keel plow any waters outside his fort's protection. We have the great Germanic Empire by the throat, and we are closely but surely throttling it to death. In the rude ruts of war, we have found our national soul, which we were in danger of losing forever under the enervating burdens of ease and prosperity. Now and forever, our watchword must be onward, ever onward.